Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the Q&A for The Other Morgan. I hope you enjoyed the film as much as I did. I thought it was a blast, and I hope you did too. And we're so fortunate here to have a number of people joining us from the film. We have writer, director, star Allison Rich. We have Hannah Settle, who is a producer on the film, Laura Schwartz as a producer, and Britt Mikado. And I have to be honest, Britt, why don't you tell us what you do on the film, because I'm afraid I don't have it in my notes.
Hi, I'm Britt Machado. It's nice to be with you all. I'm a producer as well, and was super excited to work with these ladies.
Terrific. Yes. Okay, great. First of all, I want to thank our sponsors, Pat and Diane McKeague. Their generosity helps make this film festival happen and sponsoring this film. And as well as we have some major sponsors today, BHE, American General Media, and KSBY. And this festival wouldn't be able to happen without the generosity of our sponsors. So a big thank you and a shout out to them. Let's see here. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and ask a couple questions, and I might kind of shoot over to Allison, and the rest of you jump in when you feel like it. First and foremost, Allison, where in the world did you get the concept for this film and the idea for it?
For sure, great question. So I think there were sort of two entry points into it. On the one hand, I've always been really, as a creator, drawn to like sort of the more outlandish stories. You know, I wouldn't say I'm known for like telling subtle small stories. So the idea of like a secret second family was always a fun world for me. And then sort of separately, I'd had lots of, you know, thoughts about like what it means to compare yourself to another person. So those two, the circumstance and that theme sort of merged in my mind to be like, oh, that could be a great way to explore this, where you're, you know, you have this character and she finds out her father has basically another daughter in his life. And it just, you know, can trigger a lot of those themes that I'm interested in.
Awesome. Okay, great. And was there, did you pretty much roll into this with a full script written? Did you, or did you have some improvisation? Did you have other input from other people, your producers? How did that work?
Yeah, so I first came to Hannah. She was recommended to me by, well, we had known each other as acquaintances, but then a friend who had produced some other work of mine connected me with Hannah, and I came to Hannah with a draft of the script. And then she brought on Laura and then ultimately Brittany. And so it was a draft, and then went through various revisions, and Hannah and Laura and Brittany had a lot of input into the revisions and would point out like, oh, we could strengthen this scene or lose this scene, that sort of thing.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it's kind of funny that we have so many women on this Q&A here, because I did go and look at the credits before we did our interview, and I noticed you were very woman heavy on your tech team, and I was like, yes, right on. I love to see that. You know, power to the women there. And can I ask, was that a sort of a involuntary thing? Were you kind of looking for a more sort of women's view? And again, I know there are some men that are involved as well, but just kind of wondering about that.
Yeah. I'll start off, but then that's definitely a question that I think the producers can speak to as well. Basically, you know, it did start with me reaching out to Hannah, and then, you know, because this wasn't going to be a small project, we were like, we got to expand the producer team. But then, you know, Hannah brought me the recommendation of our cinematographer, Ali Schultz. And then, you know, Hannah, Laura, and Brittany were integral in bringing on a bulk of the crew. So really, you know, and from the beginning, Hannah had said to me it was important to her that we're, you know, working with women and people of color. So they really set the tone. I don't know if you guys want to expand on
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, I don't think it's like, you know, we were making specific choices of like, this role has to be a woman, but we definitely like thought about trying to have the crew match the society a little more, and not try and be picking certain recommendations that were just men on set. I also think also with like, having a, like, you know, a female director, a female point of view of this show, it was a really great to have so many women on set together, because I think it's a very supportive crew when there's a lot of women on set, honestly. So yeah, it's not really like a specific choice we made, but it was certainly a great one.
Yeah, I think
in all of the roles, we wanted to just make sure there was a balance of choices that we were all looking at and then picking the best folks. I will say, I think in the DP position specifically, Hannah and I had just gotten so many recommendations of amazing female DPs in the last couple of years. So it was just exciting for us to get to surface some of those and bring them into the mix and ultimately end up with Allie, who was fantastic.
And I think that's also an extension of all of us in our work on a daily basis. We're highly involved in trying to increase representation in the industry. And so for us, I call it my little black book. It's easy to go and like put together an amazing roster of people that, you know, we all know are top line talent who also maybe represent a more diverse POV.
Excellent, excellent. I have to, again, I'm sorry, on a personal level, I just have to say right on. And I'm stoked because as a mother of 2 girls, and I'm always trying to talk about empowering, I just love to see females, you know, in great positions and making it work for themselves. Has it been challenging industry-wise? And again, maybe kind of pop around to each of you. Being a female in a traditionally male-dominated field, or are you seeing and do you feel like it's getting easier?
I think when we get to make these kinds of projects, it's really a pleasure to be, you know, who we are. So I'll just say that there's challenges in any field. I'll just say for myself, but I find that these kinds of projects are really rewarding. And so those are the kinds of experiences I try to really focus on.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think as Britt said, there's challenges in every industry. And I think in this industry, it definitely, you know, challenges still exist. I think it's just always working harder and making sure that you do that work to surface different points of view in every role, to surface, you know, men and women in every role. And while that work may be harder, it's way more rewarding.
Yeah, I think I've found the experience is really varied project to project. You know, sometimes you come into a situation, you feel, oh, this is more of a boys club, but then you'll be in, you know, the next project will be the exact opposite. But I think it's only getting better and better. So I feel very encouraged.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Well, and again, thank you for taking a lead and setting a great example of a cohesive team that seemed to work really well together. So I love that. Can I ask you, what was the biggest challenge in shooting The Other Morgan? What was, it seemed like you did it on a great budget and this like really funny to me, totally knocked me out. I loved it. What was a challenge in filming for you all? Maybe Hannah, I'll start with you if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think the challenge in filming is for most of the time is time, because there's just so little of it when you are trying to film something and it's costing money and everything. So that was our biggest challenge is, you know, it was a lot of scenes and we really wanted to make sure Allison, especially because she's acting in it, that is giving her enough time to be able to like look back at footage or feel like, you know, as both a director and a writer and the actress in it, that she had enough time to feel like everything was right. We did have, I think it was like at the Tech Scout or something, we were going to have a location. We were going to change locations in the middle of like a really long day already. And then we found out the location that we had this back house that we could kind of convert into Morgan's bedroom, which is the last scene of the short. And we were like, oh, let's just make this. And then we just have to move to the backyard. And we had never thought about it before, but it like made so much sense. And then when we were filming it that day, we were like, thank God we did this. There's no way we would have made our day if we hadn't have made this change. So that was, you know, sometimes you got to kind of roll with the punches, but that was a great time saver for us.
And our poor production designer, Rick Mader, was doing double time on that day.
Yep.
To build out Morgan's bedroom.
Yeah. There was nothing there. There was literally nothing. He like built a bedroom pretty much. It was really crazy.
Allison, can I ask you, Hannah kind of touched on it, but for you, how was juggling, you know, writing and directing and being in it? I mean, was that hugely challenging or did you kind of fall into it naturally?
Definitely challenging, especially because I'm of those 3 pursuits, I'm like newest to directing. So, you know, I felt a little bit out of my comfort zone. And so it was so wonderful to have such a supportive team between the three ladies. And then also our AD is also our editor, and he's actually on the project the person I've known the longest. So, you know, when I'd be in doing certain takes of my own coverage, I would call out to Hannah and Brittany and Laura and Greg to be like, give me some other direction. And also we use some stand-ins. So for me, the biggest challenge was just like, having not done it before, being like, can we do this? And, you know, I was surrounded by such even-keeled personalities that I trusted. And like, I'm working on this, but I'm not controlling. And so being able to trust these people, you know, speak so highly to how on it they are, because I'm getting my fingers in everything. But at a certain point, especially I remember that day when like we'd seen this other location we were going to have for my bedroom, and it just, our DP was like, no way. And I was just like, but we have 2 weeks till we're shooting, like melting down. But they, you know, we just handled it. You know, we made it work. And so, yeah.
I will say too, like Allison is somebody who, if I can just dote on you for a second, like does not really have an ego. So, which was really great to work with. You know, normally you think somebody would want to, you know, not have any input from anyone and be like, I know what I want. And she was just so open to hearing everybody's points of view. And it just, I think it really shows in the film because her performance is like so fantastic.
Yeah, it was a very collaborative environment for sure,
Yeah.
which is so rare and so wonderful to just have such great people working together.
Agreed.
Well, yeah. Well, I truly feel like, you know, it all made it better because like when we were cutting it, you know, I'd do my cut and then sent it to the producers and I just felt like I did all that you can do. And then they would make adjustments. Like, that is a better idea. That, you know, like, so, yeah, it was great.
I think one of the things that I really liked about, I liked both Morgans, but of course, you know, Allison's Morgan is, you know, kind of the protagonist there. And I think what I felt like, even though she's a little bit of an odd duck and whatnot, it was like, I felt authentic, even wacky out there, but like you connected, or at least this kind of nerdy person connected with it. And, you know, I think the best part for me was in the end, seeing her kind of recognize that she actually had the happier life, and the imperfect life was kind of the better life. And I don't know, it just really made me smile and kind of reflect. And I don't know if you had that intention from the get-go, if you knew you were wrapping that up with a bow at the end. And granted, it's not perfect, you know, but I just, it really spoke to me on a lot of levels. So again, Allison, I know you're kind of writing that, but I don't know if, it landed where you wanted it to land.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I look at it and I'm like, if I could do it again, I would clarify this or that or whatever. But I do think like people get the intention, and I was interested in creating this character who, as someone who can get a little like, you know, just focused on the outside of like, oh, how do I look to other people? It was fun to create a character that was really like, I'm happy with like this little life, and then trying to create, you know, this, because I think the scene with Brandy is supposed to serve to be like, here is your classic example of someone who has more success than the other person. And it doesn't bother her at all. It just like goes right over her head. But then she meets the other Morgan, and that person triggers her. And I felt like that's an example of like, we kind of choose who we're going to be bothered by based on like our own values. And I'm going off on a tangent, but I think you get it. Like, yeah.
No, I loved it too, where it's almost like you're comparing yourself to someone else, but when you don't know about them, you kind of are free and you can be who you are. And I feel like, especially in a lot of industries, and especially in entertainment too, we're kind of always looking at how's someone else succeeding, or how's their career going, or in general. And it's very easy to slip into that, but you always have to kind of focus on your own path and your own journey. And I think that that's what's so great about Allison Morgan, is that she kind of learns that from her, like from within, that she was somebody who didn't need to go down that path.
Yeah.
And that's part of the, oh, go ahead, Allison.
Well, just to sort of, I figured out some of the rest of my point from earlier, which is that I think that like, it's a very, like really the person who did the bad thing in this is the dad, but she doesn't for a second go like, you know, screw dad until this Brandy character points it out to her. And so it was important in sort of concluding it that like the two sisters end up on the same team, because I think it's very easy to be like, you are the object of my jealousy, I must be mad at you, when it's like you're misplacing your feelings on her. Anyway, Brittany, please.
Well, and that's part of the fun of finding it on the day with the characters too, right? Chloe Wepper, who plays Brandy, was a good foil, and it was, you know, how is Morgan going to be quirky and herself against this already kind of wacky, over the top character, who, for those of us who hail from the industry, know very well is like true to life, but like, how do you portray that in a way that's not unbelievable, right? And then, you know, countering that against Mary Holland's character, the other Morgan, you know, even that first moment when you see her and she gets up in the hospital and she kind of has this tart breath, you know, figuring out all those little moments where you can kind of dig in this tiny little short that's, you know, kind of an outrageous comedy in certain points, right? But to still find those really rich character moments. And I think like Allison had those in her head, and because it was a collaborative process and there were lots of eyes that were welcomed when we were filming, we were able to sort of find those different things, get different takes, and figure out how we wanted that comedy and that heartbreak to play in the edit.
Totally.
Excellent. Yeah, wonderful summary. I agree with that very much. So that was great. So what's next for The Other Morgan? I know it's just coming out. Where are you going and what's happening?
We're excited that, you know, I'm new to the film festival circuit, and so we're bringing it out, and it's, you know, this is, I think, only the second festival that it will have played at. So the San Luis Obispo audience gets an early view of it, but hopefully it'll have a successful festival run. We're excited to see where that goes. And then, you know, I'm just learning about, I was talking to Hannah recently, like about distribution and this and that. So I wish I had smart business savvy answers, but I don't know. But what I do know is the experience was so positive that as soon as, you know, we're sort of out of the woods with COVID, I can't wait to make the next project, and I will work with all these people again because it was such a positive experience.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm already waiting. I'm excited for the next project, whatever it is. And I know you all have successful careers doing lots of different things. So thank you for sharing your talents. And again, you know, looking forward to the next one. I do want to remind our audience that we do have voting. This is a virtual film festival this year, but we do still want people to vote for their favorite films. And The Other Morgan certainly can be voted for. I know it has my vote. I just love this film. I thought it was the best.
Okay.
But so don't forget to vote to our home viewers. And I'd like to also, again, one more time, thank our sponsors. We have Pat and Diane McKeague, who graciously sponsored this film, and as well as our other sponsors, BHE, American General Media, and KSBY. Again, thank you to our audience for tuning in, and I'm glad you got to experience this wonderful Q&A with the producers and writer, director, actor, Allison. And of course, we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And thank you so much for joining us at the San Luis Obispo Film Festival.
Thank you. Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.